Hi, it's Chris here from Auto Talk. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. So today we're going to be doing a first episode of a series on an R34 restoration project. So this is the car behind me. Yeah, let's get into it. We have the car on site. Previously, we did have the car in to inspect it before we took the job on. So the customer called us, told us the story. They'd had an R34 GTR for a little while and wanted to give it a little bit of love. They knew it wasn't great underneath, but to what extent they didn't quite know. So our job was to have a little inspection of it, suss the job out, work out what it needs and go from there really. So we put a package together, worked out roughly what sort of time scale we need and a rough price and got it booked in. So yeah. A few weeks later, we've now got it in the workshop. This is day 2 of the restoration so far. First initial process is stripping it down, taking all the mechanical components off of the car and getting to the underside and seeing what condition it's like. So yeah, if you want to come in, have a look. Interesting parts, basically. So looking at the underside, you can see it is covered in a really thick black sticky underseal, which is pretty grim and very, very difficult to remove. So the first port of call was to tackle a little bit of removal to see how easy it was to come off. You might be able to see on the back of the car here, this was covered as well up to the rear lights. This was covered in the black underseal. We tried scraping it, which was effective, but very time consuming and it wasn't gonna do a 100% job. So we thought we'd try a hot wash. So we've got a really high pressured steam pressure washer, rolled it into the wash bay and we tackled the back. As you can see, it's taken a fair bit off, but it's still, again, it's never gonna be perfect. And we did the underside as well, gave it a good clean up. But yeah, it's just never gonna take that thick underseal off, which pretty much was expected. So we've had a little discussion and worked out the best process for this job is probably going to be to put it on a spit, turn it on its side and actually sandblast the underside, which we don't do that often, only in extreme cases. And yeah, unfortunately this is one of those extreme cases where we need to attack it a little bit more aggressively and time efficiently. So it's going to work out more cost effective and produce a better finish on this particular project. So that's what we're going to do. We need to obviously prepare this car to a really high standard before we can do that, in terms of taking all the components off, covering any little hole in the chassis so the sandblast media doesn't go everywhere. So yeah, it's quite a lot of preparation involved, but the actual job itself, blasting it, is fairly time effective. So that's what we're doing at the moment. As you can see, a lot of the undersides are already taken off. You've got the rear diff, rear subframe. Here you can see it's very corroded and even the black underseal has got like all over the suspension components, lower arms, subframe, it's absolutely covered. If it's not rusty, it is covered in the thick black underseal on top of the rust. So yeah, this car has had a repair or some repairs in the past and then it has been covered in underseal. So we have found out there's quite a few panels here that are already aftermarket or been replaced and repaired in the past. So we need to, once we've got the black underseal off, have a look at those panels and see if they're up to standard and see if they're still okay to work with and then do our process over the top of those. But if you have a little look around here, I'll show you with a light. Don't know if you can get up here, but just behind this suspension strut, there's quite a bit of corrosion creeping in under that panel there because a lot of these they're sort of like 2-piece panels. They're sort of one on top of another and all the water and moisture gets underneath them and it sort of starts rusting from the inside out. So that's just one of quite a few spots that are showing corrosion and a potential panel replacement. So yeah, we're just unraveling these little bits at the moment. So we'll soon have a full idea of what is involved. Yeah, so if you come along here and have a look under this rear boot floor, corroded is under the actual underseal and there's actually a hole there as well, so it is pretty bad. Looks like it's been in the bottom of the ocean in some parts, but then obviously above the fuel tank it's beautiful. If only it was all like that. It's had seal replacements, both seals have already been repaired. to what standard we can't really tell yet. We've got to get some more underseal off, see what that's looking like. Full underbody to do. We're going to restore all the components mechanically that come off of the car, all the running gear. We're going to drop the engine and gearbox out of the car. We need to restore the gearbox casing. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just general, you know, age, corrosion on the aluminium casing. That's all going to get done. Some exhaust parts that are damaged. The engine's going to come out. We're going to paint the engine bay. We are going to do the strut tops as well. So on the restoration top, you can see the strut tops are starting to bubble, and that's going to be a fairly involved job just for those to get repaired. So that will be happening as well once the engine's out. And again, around this side, I don't know if you want to walk around and just have a little look, but we can see we've started scraping off some of the underseal here, just with like a blade. But you can see this panel here, it's definitely been replaced in the past. So once we get all that blasted off, we'll see what condition it's like under there, but it's not looking particularly great. Yeah, so over here we've just got some of the parts that we're just dividing up systematically, working out what needs blasting, what needs powder coating, what needs potentially repairing. Prime example, typical thing we see here is like an exhaust shield for the tunnel under the car. It's just crumbling apart. It's just all really brittle, and these are parts you can't really buy. So it's a case of either trying to find a good second-hand one or potentially making one, which, as you can imagine, is quite time-consuming. Okay, so that's the strip down process pretty much done. The next stage is going to be blasting the shell, and we're going to be restoring all the components that you've seen come off the car. So if there's anything in particular you want to see in these videos, please comment below and we can get that for you. But yeah, as for now, we'll see you next time.